Welcome back, everybody. You know, it's great to know that Donald Trump is out there right now arming the rest of the world while Americans are really just kind of afraid that the economy is collapsing and everyone's losing their jobs, no one's getting hired. But it's good to know that he's making hundreds of billions of dollars of arms deals all throughout the Middle East. That's fantastic. And he seems to be stopping pretty much everywhere except Israel, which I think is a real huge surprise. And I think it's about time that America's kind of moved on from that place. Because how many times can we look at the news and just see the desolate wasteland that used to be Gaza? It's been completely destroyed. I mean, I understand trying to go and get some of your hostages back, but at the same time, you leveled an entire country and displaced an entire population. Yeah, maybe we don't want to hang out with you anymore. Don't be surprised by that. But like I said, hundreds of billions of dollars of deals all throughout the Middle East. But at the same time, I feel like this isn't actually doing anything for the basic American person. Yeah, if you have Boeing stock, guess what? That's going to go up. But if you just got laid off from UPS, that's not helping you out at all. If you're one of the millions of people who just lost your job in the past couple months, you know, how many jets are going to Saudi Arabia really doesn't mean anything. Not when you can't even afford bananas at the store. You know, the media can glorify this trip all they want and talk about how Trump is the best diplomat, but at the same time, Americans are still suffering at home. So, I mean, I thought this whole thing was about America first, but I guess it's just the American vote first and then bail. Because the tariffs are still on, people are still getting laid off, the stock market's still meh, and we've essentially started cutting through every line of survival that this government used to offer the people once they've kind of fallen to the sidelines. But I'm glad to know that Riyadh's getting the newest jets. That's a banger. But honestly, it does tickle me a little bit to see Israel getting all up in their jimmies because Daddy Trump hasn't stopped by. Because like I said, you guys are just bad news at this point. Nobody wants to work with you. Everybody in that entire region wants you gone. And you're constantly threatening to wipe your neighbors off the map. I mean, who wants to work with you? If Israel was next to America, we essentially would have made it a colony at this point. That place only really exists in case we had to go to war with Iran. That way we had a good launching point. But you guys are so insistent on starting World War III and I don't know, committing a massive genocide that everyone's just kind of moving on, you know? You're just not invited to the barbecue anymore, and that's fine. You know, you can start your own with all your other allies out there. Because that's what the world wants. The world wants to move on from all this. The world essentially wants peace. We can talk about war and everyone wanting to go to war, but that's not what the people want. And surprisingly, most of the Middle Eastern leaders, they don't want that either. You know why? Because it's bad for business. They don't have the same military-industrial complex that we do. So war's really not good for them like it is for the U.S. And by the U.S., I only mean the military-industrial complex and people who own stock in them. Shame on you. It's a weird time to be alive and live in America, being an American citizen, because you kind of just feel like no one wants to do anything with you anymore. The government doesn't want to do anything with you. Other governments don't want to do anything with you. We're just kind of sitting around waiting for football season to start because baseball, no one really cares. But no, we're happy that Donald Trump's having the time of his life, getting ready for his palace of the sky, while Americans are, you know, kind of crapping their pants when it comes to what's going to happen with these supply lines being broken and all the small businesses that have been shut down. You know, no worries. Because last I checked, the 30% tariff is still a 30% sales tax, and people can barely afford bread. So maybe it's time to actually invest in bread lines for once, because that's going to be a boom in business pretty soon. But I guess it's good that we still have some allies out there, even though they're culturally diametrically opposed to us. You know, it's good to know that they don't want to blow us up because, you know, we give them good toys. But that's the real question we have to ask ourselves is, what does this trip actually do for this? These diplomatic trips that these guys are making, they really only benefit major corporations and their stockholders. You know, they're not growing industry in America. There's not going to be more Boeing plants that are being made. And Boeing's a joke right now. They're crashing planes left and right. But at the same time, that's what we're selling. Maybe it's a good strategy to give broken planes to people that we kind of don't get along with, but kind of get along with at the same time. You know, just kind of to see what happens. Because at least it allows our politicians to line their pockets a little bit. And let's be honest, none of this stuff is happening for free, boys. The people just kind of have to have enough with this kind of thing because it's all just a bunch of pageantry. And if you're in the military, you know what a dog and pony show is. And that's exactly what this kind of stuff is. We can talk about the golden age of relations between America and Saudi Arabia. But like I said, how does that benefit people? Oil prices, how much lower can they actually go? Everyone thinks it's going to be going down to $1. And apparently that's what Trump thought that he did. But at the same time, that's not how this works. Money is worth less now. So oil's not going to be going down to what it was 10 years ago. It was still expensive back then. Would it be great if we had $1 oil? Yes, it'd be fantastic. I drive a truck and it costs a lot to fill this thing up. And it would have a major impact on the price of goods that are moving around the United States. And all this drill baby drill stuff that we heard on the campaign trail, none of that really seemed to happen. You can say that we're drilling, but like I said, gas prices haven't changed. They go up and down like 5 or 10 cents, but it's the exact same price as it was not too long ago. But maybe the cost of oil will go down now that we've been able to pay off the Houthis, so they're going to stop attacking our ships. That's always a good thing. No one likes pirates. And again, that's another thing that makes Israel mad, so I'm kind of happy about it. Trump right now is doing deals with pretty much everybody in the Middle East except Israel. And I think it's fascinating because the right has been so far up Israel's butt for, I don't know, as long as I've lived, really. It's interesting to see us kind of like treat them like the dirty kid at school. But like I said, what are you going to do if a nation's been absolutely chimping out on its neighbors? You can't exactly be doing business with them because it makes you look bad. And Israel's turned into one giant, massive, freaking out chimp. But honestly, I wouldn't expect anything more than this because this is actually not getting anything done for the United States. Like I said, these deals are good, and I guess it scares Iran a little bit. But the American people, it benefits them in absolutely zero way. You can talk about $1 trillion of sales being done. Still, that doesn't affect anybody. If our biggest flex in the world is being the globe's biggest arms dealer, you know, like I said, what happened to America first? What happened to, you know, standing up for the little guy? What happened to all that noise? I guess it was just noise. And we all knew it was noise all along because, like I said, massive layoffs are still happening. People are freaking out that there's not going to be food. Our lakes, rivers, and streams are continuously getting poisoned because we're deregulating all the energy industries in America. And the only kind of property the younger generation can afford is essentially a porta potty next to a Walmart. But you know what? Donald Trump has his $400 or $500 million Kuwaiti plane. And maybe when he's out of office and that thing goes to his library and is just sitting out there, we can all take a tour and take a big fat dump in the bathroom and not flush. So silver lining to everything, I guess. But hey, thanks for stopping by. A little update in the news that's going on right now. Fascinating stuff as always. People are just kind of left here with empty pockets, which is always good. If you're still here, hey, like I said, like and subscribe. Thinking about becoming a member. That's always fun. Agree, disagree, love Trump, hate Trump. I don't know. Drop something down in the comment section and just kind of battle it out with people down there because it's always kind of fun for me to watch. But hopefully our politicians and Americans at some point can, I don't know, fix things here in America because it's pretty broken right now and we're going down a pretty bad path. And we all just kind of want to live a decent life at this point. So, like I said, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you guys have a good one. Hey everybody, welcome back to my office. Real quick, just want to say, with the season changing, it's getting nice and warm outside, which means that I can get out of the office, I can get out of the truck, and we're going to go out there and actually see some more of America. We got plans to go see some small towns in the Midwest and along the East Coast, some more cities, some rural areas, and of course, some of the most beautiful places that we have to offer here in America. So if you have any ideas of anything you want us to discuss or anything you want us to go see, go ahead and put it down in the comment section, because honestly, getting kind of tired of talking about all the most negative stuff that's kind of happening. While it's very important to point these things out, I like to mix in some positivity, because honestly, as horrible as it can be for normal people right here in America, the American people aren't going anywhere, and we still have lives to live. And I think it's important for us to actually see kind of the brighter side of living here, because it's not all just doom and gloom. And as someone who's been all over this country already, I can tell you, it is a beautiful country. There's a lot of good stuff out there and a lot of good people out there. And we like to talk to some of those people, and we like to show you some of those things, especially our international audience, who the only thing that you see about America is either on TikTok or on the news. And it looks like absolute chaos here. And economically and policy-wise, it is chaos here. But for normal people, life is kind of boring. We just watch costs go up all the time and kind of are in fear that war is going to kick off at some point. But like I said, anything you want us to talk about, you can always reach out to me directly. Super chats always work. I'll read it and answer it the best of my ability. But hey, we appreciate you as always. And thanks for stopping by.